Merci.
As I shared with you last Sunday, beginning a new summer sermon series, that's a mouthful, in which we are placing side by side two of the great figures in the Old Testament, separated by centuries, Moses and Isaiah. And we are going to place these two in dialogue one with another. And you'll remember that I shared with you the wonderful meaning of the word dialogue. That it's not simply a conversation, but it is the discovery of a single word when two people come together and speak. And it is that discovery of a single word to which we attend as we hear both a reading from the book of Exodus, followed by a reading, of course, from the book of the prophet Isaiah. So let us begin with our first reading from Exodus. The Lord said to Moses, "Go down at once." Moses was up on Mount Sinai. "Your people whom you have brought up out of the land of Egypt have acted perversely. They have been quick to turn aside from the way that I commanded them. They have cast for themselves an image of a calf and have worshipped it and sacrificed to it and said, 'These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt.' The Lord said to Moses, 'I have seen this people, how stiff-necked they are. Now let me alone, so that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them. And of you I will make a great nation.'" Now let us turn to the book of the prophet Isaiah. And Isaiah says, "O house of Jacob, come, let us walk in the light of the Lord. For you have forsaken the ways of your people, O house of Jacob. Indeed, they are full of diviners from the east and of soothsayers like the Philistines, and they clasp hands with foreigners." Now, I think we all know that it's very easy to forget things. It's very, very common. It happens all the time. Thoughts that we have may pass out of our consciousness, and we simply can't recall them. The phrase that I really like when we think about forgetting is, "It slipped my mind." That it was so easy for a thought to disappear. The idea of slipping my mind, away it goes, as if a thought flowed down a river, or as if a thought just went away on a sheet of ice. Forgetting things is very normal. It's very common. It happens to us all of the time, whether we are young or whether we are in our older years. Very, very common. But there's a different kind of forgetting. It's the kind of forgetting that we see in our reading this morning that is a shared word between Moses and Isaiah. A different kind of forgetting. This kind of forgetting is more like an active choice. In many ways, it's a rebellion. You know that expression when someone is angry and they shout, "Forget it. Forget about it." It is an active choice to sweep something aside. It's very different than if something slips our mind. It's very different from that really an innocent loss of a thought, an innocent loss of a memory. This other kind, it's rebellious, it's willful, there's a lot of heat to it, sometimes anger, all kinds of emotions can be associated with that sort of forgetting. Forget about it, the person yells. Forget it. I want nothing to do with it. This is what's happening here that we see in both the book of Exodus and in the book of the prophet Isaiah. You know, the Exodus story is so very, very familiar. Moses has been summoned by God to summit of Mount Sinai, and there Moses will have these miraculous encounters with his God. Moses will learn from God. He will even then, as you know, bring down the 10 Commandments carved on tablets of stone. Well, while Moses is up on the summit, the people, led by others, have now decided to forget about it. They're going to forget about God. It's not that kind of innocent slipping of the mind, but this is really in that sense of an active rebellion. I want nothing to do with it. I am, in a way, as I turn from God, there is a forgetting that occurs. As I turn from God, there is a willful darkening, if you will, or a willful abandonment of what has gone before. And so, you know the story. The golden calf is created, and the people dance around the golden calf, and they worship the calf. And of course, the good Lord above sees what is happening, and oh, God is filled with that kind of righteous anger. Because you see, these are the people of God. And all of a sudden, they are betraying God in a very, very fundamental way. They are replacing their relationship with the living God with this creature fashioned out of gold. You might say if God were a person like you or me, we would say it's very hurtful. The experience of being forgotten like this. It's an act of betrayal. It's an act of turning against one who is beloved. And so we see God feeling and consumed with fire. The Lord can't believe what the people have forgotten in such a short amount of time. Moses has gone up the mountain, and in that very short amount of time, the people have said no. They have said no, they have made a choice. They have said, forget about it. Forget it. This is not, like I've said, this is not the case in which Moses has gone up the mountain, and the people are wondering, you know, I can't quite remember who God is. I think I need to be reminded. No, that's an innocent. That's just the natural kind of forgetting that happens within the human brain, within the human mind. That's not what's happening here. No, this is the people saying, forget it. Moses is gone. Who knows what's going on? Forget it. This kind of forgetfulness is rebellion. Oh, and it's very, very hurtful, and it's really, really a very terrible, terrible choice to be made. That's what's happening, the very same thing in the book of Isaiah for the book of Isaiah, the reading which I have chosen for us this morning. And here, Isaiah is imploring the people to come back. Come, let us walk in the light of the Lord, Isaiah says. Now here in verse 6, for you have forsaken the ways. You have forsaken the ways of your people. Here, perhaps we see that sense of forgetfulness once again is very active, much like the people when they fashioned the golden calf. Here Isaiah is saying, you have forsaken the ways. That is, you have forsaken the path that has been prepared for you. You have forsaken the relationship that God has established with you. So Isaiah is saying, let's walk in the light. Let's remember. Come to your senses. Forsaking is a rejecting. It's a kind of forgetting, if you will. A forgetting in which you are saying, no more. Forget about it. Forget about it. No more. We're going to choose a new path. We're going to create our own path. But it's a path that leads to destruction and sorrow. And so Isaiah is saying to the people, come on back. Come on back, let us walk in the light. What does Isaiah, how might we consider this, come back and let us walk in the light? It's remembrance. It is remembrance. It is a return. It is a embracing. If the kind of active forgetting is an act of rebellion, this kind of remembrance of walking in the light, it's an act of worship. And I think this is so important for us to consider. When we walk in the light, when we remember the ways of our God and who we are as a people, that kind of remembrance is truly an act of worship. Because when we consider these things in this remembering kind of way, we are inclining our hearts to God. And what is worship? It is the inclining of the human heart to God in thanks and praise. And so Isaiah is saying, you have forsaken the ways of your people. You have chosen to forget the ways of your people. Just like Moses is encountering with the people of Israel. The words of Isaiah could be applied directly to what Moses discovers with the creation of the golden calf. You have forsaken the ways of your people. The words of Isaiah, really, if you will, might be an echo through the centuries of what Moses would have said to the people. You have forsaken the ways. You have abandoned the light. You have forgotten who you really are, as you have forgotten who God really is. So remember who you are. Remember who God is. And that is what will happen when Moses comes down from the mountain. It is that very same kind of experience. The people of Israel at the base of Mount Sinai, they have rebelled. They have forgotten. They have said, Moses is gone, so let's forget it. And they create the golden calf. But like Isaiah, Moses could say to the people themselves, let's walk in the light. You have forsaken God, but remember who you are. Remember who God is. And when the people do that, when they remember, again, this is an act of worship. Usually, of course, when we think of worship, we think of song. We think of the gathering together and raising our voices as one as we sing praise to God. Yes, that is worship. But remembering who God is worship as well. Because when we remember, we are calling to mind who God truly is. We are calling to mind then who we are. And in that act, our hearts are being opened to the presence of God. So Moses and then Isaiah will say to the people, don't forsake your ways. Walk in the light. Come back. That is the shared word in this dialogue that we are seeing this morning. The shared word that Moses and Isaiah have with one another, for one another, is that single word, remember. Remember. That is at the heart of our dialogue this morning when we put these two great prophets together. And you know, the dialogue in which they would have engaged if the two of them were in the same room long ago is the very same dialogue that is given to us. We are called to be a people who remember who God is, and who we are in light of God. Who is God? When we remember, God is our creator. God is the one who fashions all things. And who are we then as we remember? We are children of God. We are fashioned in the very image of God. Amazingly, we are precious in the sight of God. Not only that, we are sister and brother. This is an act of worship. We remember, we recall who God is, and we say, God is the creator. And then we remember who we are. I am a child of God. How humbling and wondrous is that? That's what Moses and Isaiah would say to us if they were, I believe, if they were in the room here this morning. Remember. Don't forget. Don't forsake your ways. Don't forsake your identity as a child of God. But remember, call to mind, hold that thought within you, and let that thought open your heart and move your heart. And in this way, an act of remembrance is an act of worship. Now let me just say again, we all forget things, of course. It's so common, and it happens regardless of our age. We do forget things. And I love that expression. Something slips our mind. Well, let's just keep in mind, I really want to emphasize this. What Moses and Isaiah are talking about is not that simple, innocent slipping of the mind. They're talking about an active forgetting, a choice to rebel, if you will, a choice to forsake the path that God has laid out for them. That's what we're talking about here. That kind of active, volitional movement of rebellion. That's what the prophets are talking about. So, for us, what would Moses and Isaiah, what would they say? They'd probably say, here's your homework. They would say to us, here's what we want you to do. Remember who God is, and then remember who you are in the light of who God is. Because they would say, by the grace of God, God has called us into this relationship with Him, and who God is and who we are is then fundamentally intertwined. So Moses and Isaiah would say, come on, remember this. Remember that God is our Creator. Remember that you are a child of God. And in that remembrance, just know that this is the worship of God. Because when we remember in this way, we are naturally moved to give thanks to God. So, a good word that comes to us throughout across the centuries, across time, a good word from Moses and Isaiah. They give us our homework. They give us something that we can do day upon day, to call to mind, to simply call to mind. My God is the Creator. I am a child of God. This remembrance is an act of worship.